Hello, everyone. It's always my pleasure to bring guests that are always really special. I like to have conversations with people that are doing great work all around the world. And today it's my pleasure to host Barrister Oluyemi Adetiba, who has been a practicing attorney in Nigeria for several years now. And it is really my pleasure to also say that I have been very privy to the work that our organization does, because just about a year ago, I hosted Ms. Adetiba and her colleagues from the Headfort Foundation in Nigeria. I hosted them here about a year ago, and we had many people in attendance, and people were very impressed with the work that they do. And what is that foundation, you may ask? What is that organization? It is the Headfort Foundation of Nigeria that was started in the year 2019 by Barrister Adetiba, who is a graduate of Ekiti State University in Nigeria. She graduated from the University of Nigeria, did the required one-year law school, which is what it's called in Nigeria, and was called to the bar in Nigeria. Started her own chambers in the year 2015, and in 2019, she was called, she felt called, I would say, to start this foundation, which really works to free the unjustly incarcerated in Nigeria. So, Barrister Adetiba, welcome.
Thank you so much, sir.
I know that you are in Nigeria right now, and I am tempted to ask you how Nigeria is. We hear so many stories about Nigeria, and of course it's a lovely country, but like every lovely country, the country has its own challenges. What I like to do, however, at least for us to start this conversation, is to focus on the work that you're doing. So you'll recall that we were together just about a year ago. And, right. Tell me how that felt for you and how things have been for your foundation since then.
Well, I mean, okay, so I remember that the interview we had with you July of 2020 was shortly after we got recognized by Al Jazeera. And that interview, I mean, it did a lot. It brought a lot of awareness to our work as well. And of course, you would also remember that you started a fundraising for us as well after that program. And I'll tell you that we started a project with that fund called Lawyers Without Border. And the Lawyers Without Border is for us to be closer to the beneficiaries that we work for, by having mobile offices in courts around Lagos State. So we started out with a magistrate court at Igboshire, where we had a mobile office. We stationed a lawyer in there, and the lawyer takes the cases of indigent people as they're being brought to court for their cases. We had to do this because we now have restrictions going to the prisons due to the pandemic. And this project has really worked, I mean, extremely. And as of today, that one mobile office had extended to 3. So we now have 3 in Lagos. We have another one at Ogba Magistrate Court, another one at Ebute Metta Magistrate Court, all in Lagos State. But unfortunately, the NSAS protest that was hijacked by hoodlums was, so the one we started out at Igboshire was affected, and unfortunately it was demolished by the hoodlums. But all the same, we have we have the motivation to keep on. It's not deterring us in any way. So after that interview, I'd say our work has grown. We've done a lot of things. We've increased in size as well. Our team has increased, and the work has also increased. I believe at the time we did that interview, we helped 102 beneficiaries, but as of today we have 209. So it's a lot of growth, I'll say.
Right. So when you say 209 beneficiaries, 209, you mean that that's the number of people whose
Yes.
freedom was secured.
Yes.
That is very significant because I think you were just when we met, you were just like, how many? 120? Thereabout?
What? Yes. At the time, yes.
Wow, this is really great work. And I know that you mentioned NSAS, and I'd like to come back to that at some point because
Okay.
we are being watched right now by many people around the world. And there are some people who would not know what NSAS really is, although here in the United States, a lot of people would know because it was very widely written about in our
Yeah.
because people who are concerned about social justice really will be interested in the work that you do and also in the NSAS movement and what it was about and so on. So thinking about the fact that you really work to free people who are unjustly imprisoned, you must feel good about the work that you do. And so I like to hear from you exactly who those unjustly imprisoned are and and why do many of them get imprisoned?
Okay, why do many of them get imprisoned? It's a lot of reasons. First is, I'd say poverty. One, I'll explain it. And again, our justice system, our policing system in Nigeria. So let me explain it. If I'm a rich person, I'm driving in a car across a street in Lagos State. A police officer can like stop me to ask me questions. They can, they can be very irrational as well. And for no reason, we've had a lot of cases like this. For no reason, they didn't find anything in your car, you didn't do anything. They tell you, give us money. And if you have the money, you give them, you go. But if you don't, probably a young guy who has a backpack and is walking on the road is faced with the same thing. The guy doesn't have money to give the police. He could line at the police station and they tell him, call somebody to go and bail you, because they know when the family members come, they're going to pay. If no one is showing up, because I can also tell you categorically that lots of people live in Lagos State now with no families. They probably come from other parts of the country for survival, for greener pasture, and they are here hustling, no family member anywhere. So we have lots of people like that. So when the police doesn't see anyone come for those guys, you see them charge them for whatever comes to their mind at that time. Sometimes they charge for cultism. Some other times they charge you to court for stealing. Some other times they could even, if you're that bad, maybe it was a stubborn guy, they could charge you for armed robbery, knowing fully well that that crime is not even bailable. So you're there for as long as possible. So we've had lots of this kind cases. So policing is why they're wrong policing or bad policing is why they're in prison. Poverty is why they're in prison, because probably if they had money, they would have sorted themselves at the police station and just move on with the day, And the third one is also our justice system. Justice system in the sense that any weight are brought to the courtroom and no one is looking at it and saying, why are you charged? Okay, somebody was charged for being in a dark place. That guy spent 3 months in prison. We handled the case and ensured that he left. The guy was coming from Cotonou. It's a very nearby, I call it a country, I don't know. Nearby Nigeria here. He came through bus and got to Lagos late. Then he was just at the bus stop somewhere, and he slept in one open bus. He was arrested that he was hiding in a dark place. He landed in prison because he had no money to take an hotel. So that's still poverty. So, that kind of charge is brought to the court and the magistrate is not saying, what kind of charge is this? He would still go ahead and remand the person, although grant them bail. But when you say bail, the bail is not free. It's money to even perfect the bail conditions. So it's those are the three things I'll say contributing to why people are in prison, and the justice system is making them stay longer than they should awaiting trial as well.
Right. You're talking about a corrupt system.
Yeah.
That's actually part of it, as far as the legal system here revolves around the corruption of a police system.
Mm-hmm.
And, and so I think that that's really what NSAS was about, the NSAS movement.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to talk about that a bit.
Okay, so NSAS, yes. I was actively involved in NSAS, both virtually and physically. And because I could relate with what the protest was all about. It started with the SARS Department of Police itself. Now, SARS was, maybe I should use was because the government told us they've been disbanded. However, the same people who were in SARS are deployed back to the police force. So I really do not understand the disbandment by the government, but I would use the past tense. Yes, SARS was a department of police that was so brutal. And they were introduced to face armed robbery. It's a special armed robbery for department of the police that should face that kind of crime. But you see them being on the road and asking people to open their phones. You see them doing what has nothing to do with what their duties were, and a lot of people were victims of SARS. People died, people were paralyzed, some people lost their arms, their legs. Panels were eventually constituted after NSAS, and we saw people come out with different stories, pathetic stories, gory sights of a lot of things. Not only in Lagos, unfortunately, but all over the country, So that protest it came at the right time. I was very happy about the protest because important things were talked about. Now, we now left the entire SARS thing and we focused on the police itself, and we were asking, reform the police. Nigerian police needs to be reformed. Every government that comes to Nigeria since democracy, since 1999, has been shouting, reform the police, and nothing has been done. Now, sometimes I have to be very holistic and objective as well. I go to police station like every other day, so I could see what's going on in the police station. The police is not well, I won't use funded. It's funded, but the fund is not going to the right places. Because imagine go to the police, you want to write a statement as a suspect, as a complainant, and you need to give police money to go and photocopy that sheet. Like they don't have it. They don't have files. The office itself is not even somewhere conducive to operate in. So everything about the police in Nigeria. So when you look at that kind of situation, look at an ideal policeman, is not even well educated. A policeman writes a statement for you and you're looking at it like, who wrote this statement? So there are a lot of things going wrong, and it starts from the recruitment of police officers. So the police itself needs to be reformed, and that's what NSAS was asking for. So we were asking for a lot of, we were asking for police trust fund. That's it's money that should be deposited for welfare of the police itself. The Constitution recognizes it, but it has never been done. So those are the things we're asking for via the NSAS protest. But unfortunately, I think the government got threatened along the way, and that's why we saw what we saw at the Lekki Toll Gate eventually. And it's going to be a year on the 20th of this month, and nothing has been done since the last 1 year. It's pathetic that a lot of people died. People were injured. Some people fled the country. Some people were threatened. Young persons who were actively involved were threatened, and they had to leave the country for good. So, and unfortunately, nothing has been done. Like I said, all the things we asked for, they said they disbanded SARS, but I really did not see how, because it's not about the name SARS. It's about the personnel, called SARS. So those are the unfortunate things. But at the end of the day, we can't keep quiet. We have to keep talking. We have to keep having hopes and not we can't stop talking. We need to keep talking. And I really believe that our talking, the way the youth are now being vibrant about it, is threatening the government. And that's why they are very uncomfortable now. They don't want to see any protest in Nigeria. On the 20th, people are planning to come out again and, immortalize people who died in the course of this struggle. But the commissioner of police in Nigeria came out last week to say that no protest will be allowed. And that's infringing on people's fundamental human rights. So those are the issues around EndSARS.
Well, I have multiple questions. Number one, has there been justice for those who died in EndSARS, the people who were killed? Has the government, for example, brought anybody to justice for the killing? For example, at Lekki Gate? I mean, will it mean that the justice will have to that the government will have to police itself, and it's not doing that? That's one question. And the second question is, how do you think that the way the government handled EndSARS, the way that the government really brought it to, contained it brutally, it seems. How do you think that that has encouraged or discouraged? And how do the youth of today in Nigeria, do you think that they're now afraid to stand up again, or do you think that there will still be more voices coming?
Okay, first, there has not been justice. As a matter of fact, the government is saying no one died at some point, so there was no justice. I mean, justice, I keep saying justice is a two-way thing. Some people is just recognizing my pain that is justice to them. I don't even need your money, but just recognize that you've done something wrong to me. To them, it's enough justice. To some others, they're looking for compensate me for the loss that I've suffered. But none of this has been done because the government keeps saying there is no one died at the Lekki Toll Gate. Then the personnel who were involved at the Lekki Toll Gate that night, nobody has been brought to justice. Everybody keeps denying the events of that night. The army keeps denying. Some Nigerian people keep denying. The government itself is denying. The police is denying. The governor of Lagos State is denying. So it's a lot of things going on, and it's unfortunate. And that's why people want to go out to say you can't claim that you're oblivious of what happened on that night. And again, I'll say the event of the 20th of October 2020 has discouraged a lot of people. And I made bold to also say that in another 10 years, I'm not sure we can have a protest like EndSARS because people are scared for their lives. People have seen how reckless Nigerian government can be. People have seen how the Nigerian government do not really care about the citizens, about the lives of the citizens. If people could hold Nigerian flag and they're being shot at, I mean, that's the height of it. So I know for a fact that Nigerians will be very scared to come out and protest again. So it's a lot of discouragement on the part of the Nigerian citizen. So we are in a situation where we have to keep adapting to whatever thing that the government is doing. It's hard. Maybe we can keep protesting with our keypad on internet, Twitter, Instagram. And don't also forget, Twitter was banned at some point. So like they're trying every move to shut everybody's mouth.
When I hear, just permit me a bit, because I think that there's a few in Nigeria may feel the same way, especially someone like you in the legal profession who is fighting social justice causes constantly. When I hear that Twitter was banned, which is a medium of expression, and when I hear that everybody in authority is basically denying that people died in EndSARS when the reality is obvious. is it then not appropriate to question whether Nigeria is a democracy?
Well, if we are going by the ideal definition of democracy, Nigeria is far from it, because the ideal definition of democracy is that it's a government of the people, where the people make decisions through their representative. But that's not the situation we are in Nigeria. So I don't even know the name to call what we are practicing, actually. I don't know what name it is, but it's definitely not democracy.
Yeah, that is interesting. So going forward, what do you think the future holds for Nigeria's youth? Especially as you go into the next elections, probably in about 2 years. I know that there is already a lot of campaigning in Nigeria for that. And for someone like you, thinking about the future, the upcoming elections, and the people that are already running around the world are claiming to be the future candidates or future president of Nigeria. I am thinking that you are thinking about what the true state of the country, and also thinking of the fact that I am sure that having been as actively involved in NSAS as you were, your organization also has people from NSAS who were unjustly incarcerated. Yeah. So you watch these people campaigning for office, and you watch all of them denying what actually happened in Nigeria. Well, you know what happened because you are representing some of the people that were unjustly incarcerated. So how do you feel about it all? Do you feel, I don't know, just tell me, do you feel discouraged? Do you feel discouraged? Do you feel encouraged? Do you feel angry? Do you still feel hopeful? And what exactly do you feel?
It's hard to describe, but personally, I think people around me always say your patriotism to Nigeria is different, because I won't behave like I don't know what's going on. I can see, and it's obvious, like today. And looking at the caliber of people going and vying for election, the few we are seeing, although 2023 is still a long time, we could still see other people, but from what we are seeing now, it's discouraging. I mean, I won't be mentioning names, but with the posters I've seen in Lagos State, I'm discouraged. I'm not angry, because I still have hope, notwithstanding. I still have hope, and I still believe a lot can happen between now and 2023. Probably we're going to have new breed. We are going to have people who genuinely loves Nigeria and who genuinely wants to do things for the people of Nigeria and not for themselves. So I'm hopeful, notwithstanding the many discouragements. I am personally hopeful.
People like you give me hope, because when you can be hopeful, when you can be hopeful in the face of what appears to be darkness, then I feel hopeful. And so I did mention something in that question, and I'd like you to correct me if I'm wrong. Because I did say that I assume that you are representing some people who were incarcerated for their participation in NSAS. Will that be accurate?
Yeah, that's very accurate. As at last week, because at the end of the day, there's still a lot of people incarcerated right now who were arrested due to NSAS. And there was a popular story of a lady who gave birth in the prison in Ondo State. She was also arrested. She was a pregnant lady walking around during that time, and she was arrested. And the police officer claimed she was part of those protesting. And she was there for a while. Then she had a baby in prison there. Here in Lagos as well, lots of people were incarcerated. Some are still there. And for Headfort Foundation, we helped about 3 of them. Yeah, 3 of them who were arrested due to NSAS, that we on our own as a team were responsible for their legal the legal service of getting them out of prison. And we are still representing some who are still also incarcerated. Some haven't even gotten dates, because you would also remember that after NSAS, the courts were shut for a while. So the police had difficulty charging them to court. Some were at the police station for so long. The Constitution states 48 hours rather. But some were in police station for so long because the courts were shut. The police had no room of charging them to court. So there was a particular case where 20 persons were charged together in a charge, and the police said they were disrupting the peace of the states. That's the that's the charge against them, disrupting the peace of the state because they were protesting. So we were also involved in that. 20 people were released in that particular charge, but we represented just one of them. So yeah, Headfort Foundation was actively involved, and we're still very actively involved in getting people who were wrongly incarcerated due to the NSAS protest.
So I want to share something with you, and that I want you to speak to me about. The youth access to legal services. Tell me what that's about and why you wanted to focus on that as part of your work.
Yeah, access to justice, when you're rich in Nigeria, you don't have a problem with access to justice. You can hire the best lawyers in Nigeria and they represent you and you get whatever you want. But for some caliber of people that I consider people who are not well privileged, people who are at the lower radar of Nigerian economy, they do not have the capacity, financial capacity, to contract the services of lawyers. And for some others, I was talking somewhere and I said, we have legal aid. Legal aid is a parastatal of Nigeria, of the Nigerian government. And the duty of that department is to represent indigent people in court. But unfortunately, legal aid is doing less, in the sense that I was in their office in Lagos here some time ago. And I mean, people are not even encouraged to work there because they are not well, they are understaffed, they're not well remunerated, and there are a lot of things going on as well. So somebody like that, you're not giving him the job to go and represent somebody. He's not even motivated, to do that. So Headfort Foundation wants to create access to justice for indigent people in Nigeria, people who are not privileged, who are not wealthy, So, and we've been doing that through different means. And that's why we want to be closer to them. And that was what we did with the Lawyers Without Border project. So that coming to court, you can have, where we are at Headfort Foundation, we've gotten to the level where the magistrates now refer people who do not have lawyers to our offices in that court, that go there, they're going to give you free representation. So we've gotten to that level, and where the police as well can refer people to say, if you need a lawyer, go to Headfort Foundation, they're going to give you free legal representation. And so that's what we want for the 36th state of Nigeria. That's what we want to do, where people do not have problem with information. And that's why we also make use of the social media platform to tell people about the solutions that are available. We introduced technology as well by developing an application where people can also access pro bono lawyer. So we don't want to have situations where you say you don't have a lawyer. You must have a lawyer. You must have, regardless of whatever your status is, you must have a lawyer. You must have somebody representing you, somebody who is well versed in law. I always share a story of a guy who pleaded guilty to a crime he was not guilty of, and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison, and unfortunately he died in prison. So that's the consequences of not having good access to justice in Nigeria. So we don't want anybody to be arraigned in any court without legal representation. And we are so much of it at Headfort Foundation, because you see, the singular act of not being represented can take away your life, can take away your future, can take another 10 years out of you. So, and we believe the Nigerian youth especially have a lot ahead of them in the future, and we don't want the justice system to take it away when we can do something about it.
Right, and of course, I first found out about your work from Al Jazeera when they profiled you. And so that's when we came together for the first time. And I heard you talk about what has happened and how much exposure you've got from the time that we had that discussion, that interview. That was and you know that for someone who, like me, was born in Nigeria, and for people who are in Nigeria and hearing about you, and people who were born and raised in Nigeria hearing about what you've been talking about, and even just people here who have been watching and hearing you talk about what's been going on there, you can understand that there will be some concern for your safety.
Definitely.
So and when you hear, when I read stories like this that I read, that Reuters wrote about your work, and this wasn't that long ago, fighting against police brutality and graft. I am actually wants to ask you, what about your concern, your own safety, and do people worry?
Well, I get worried more about my teammates because at this stage, Headfort Foundation is growing and we are not where we used to be. So we usually handle our cases as much as we want to be emphatic as to what the law is and what should be done. We're also very much aware of the Nigerian security space, in the sense that the government is not interested in you exposing them. They're not interested in the world knowing what's going on in the prison. They're not interested in the world knowing about what is even going on in Nigeria. So we are not oblivious of that fact, but we also try to tread with caution by being civil in our approach. We are not all that brutal like that. So we try to be as civil as possible. And don't also forget, we are a team of women. We are women lawyers. And I always tell my team, especially the ones on the field who are in the various courts doing this work, I tell them, be careful, look at your back all the time, and there are some cases that are very sensitive as well, especially the NSAS cases. They were very sensitive because the government was interested in them. For most of the other cases, probably they are individual cases. Government really do not care about who he was or who is involved. But for the NSAS cases, they are very, very, very much interested. And there was a particular case where the state government has to be, instruct the AG of the state to withdraw the case. So cases like that, we are civil in our approach. We do letters, we do more of letters. We write to the AG, we write to the DPP office. We do all of those in a very civil manner because we are careful of the security space. And as of now, it is testimony. Nobody's after us as of now, and nobody's after any of my team as well. So we've not had a situation with security. We are fine with the government because we smile with you, but we also want the right things to be done. So I think we've been good in managing the situation.
Right. So what are the biggest? I know some of the triumphs, and I know how some of those triumphs make you very happy, because I do read your monthly newsletter.
Okay.
It's really great work, and I'm glad that you keep people like me who are far away from that informed. But what are the challenges that you have in doing this work?
Okay, looking at, first of all, I said the first challenge we have is manpower. Because right now, the cases we are currently handling right now is about 523 cases all across the country, all across different courts. And our team is a team of 6 lawyers. However, we have volunteers who are also lawyers, about 89 of them. But you know, when you volunteer, you only volunteer a certain time, not all your 24 hours. So we have that challenge of manpower. We need more people to join, but the work is not a very lucrative one. So I understand that people really do not want to be a part of it. Some people love what you're doing from afar, you know, but they really don't want to be actively involved. And it's difficult for us to also get more people to join and pay them for the services because of funding. So we have the challenge of fund. Fund is a very major challenge because, you know, sometimes you draw a very beautiful project, you draw a very beautiful thing you want to do. And when you look back, you're like, we can't do this because we don't have the fund to do so. Sometimes you're thinking, okay, recently we wrote to the Ogun State government, CJ, that's the Chief Judge of Ogun State, that we should replicate the Lawyers Without Border project in Ogun State. So we've not gotten approval, but I'm even praying, like, should we get the approval? We don't have the fund to do it, right? So sometimes your growth is coming and you're dodging it because you don't have the fund to pull it through. So, so fund is a really major challenge. Sometimes you look at your team, how hard they work.
So do you do any fundraisers and stuff in Nigeria?
And how little, yeah, sorry about that. So you know that they are doing a very hard work. And they have to be compensated, but yeah, and your hard work, yeah, somebody's trying to call me something like
right.
Like that. So sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I just got a message from Nigeria that your story was carried by the new stuff. It's called thenewstuff.com, which is a Nigerian outfit, published your story 18 months ago. And someone just sent me that message. Oh, it's actually the editor-in-chief of the new stuff.com. He just sent me the information that they carried your story about 18 months ago and has sent me that story. So let me ask you, because it's important when you're doing this work, and very often people assume that it's just work that needs to go on and people are not thinking about what it costs. And what I'm hearing from you is that there is a cost in terms of human resources. In other words, you have lawyers that are carrying almost 100 people on their caseload, a lot of people on their caseload. So you don't have that manpower to be able to support the need. That's one, that's a cost. And secondly, there is money cost. You need money to be able to do this. So do you do any fundraisers in Nigeria? And I am sure that, you know, we can get you help from abroad. I'm just wondering, do you do any events in Nigeria to raise funds? And are Nigerians really, do they really have a good understanding of what it takes to run an organization like this?
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd say the understanding is there, but you see, stories of NGOs who have gotten money and not do what they are meant to do with it is out there, lots of them, and it's discouraging. So I believe that most Nigerians are discouraged when they hear stories like this, and this deter them for to do more. So I don't blame people when I hear such stories, but that's why I'm very keen on accountability. I'm very keen on accountability when it comes to Headfort Foundation. So if you donate something to Headfort Foundation, I want to give you a feedback of what we've used your fund to do. And that became a tradition for us because we are aware that Nigerians do not believe in some NGOs, right? So Nigerians have the understanding, but because of the corruption around, because of the dishonesty around, I think that's the drawback that we have. And I won't lie that it's not also affecting us, because you see some people, when you tell them we are doing this, I would love you to support us, to tell you, oh, NGOs, you people, you know, so we are faced with stuff like that. But I mean, because we know what we're doing, we have the records, we don't joke with records here, we don't joke with accountability as well. And that's why we want people to be aware of what we are doing, what we're using your fund to do. And that gives you the courage to also be an ambassador of Headfort Foundation. You can go there and you can go out there and say, if you've been having bad experiences with NGO, with these ones, I have a testimony.
Right, and the testimony actually is the kind of thing that keeps you encouraged, even when you're alone, and even when you feel that there is nobody on your side. But I want you to know that even when you feel that there is nobody on your side, you have someone here who will always root for you. Because I actually happen to believe in the cause of social justice. Before we go, there's just one question that I'd like to ask. I know that, for example, social work as a profession is not built up in Nigeria. But in the United States, very often work like this will be supported by social workers. And that would actually reduce the burden on lawyers. But in a country where there isn't really an understanding of what social work is and what social work does, because it's not a developed profession. I am wondering if you have other people who are not lawyers that provide some support, or if there is a role for people like that.
Okay, recently we started, because we were concerned about our beneficiaries. So we do not want to really stop at getting them out of prison. We want to be involved in their lives going on. So we needed the support of social workers, because we can't do that. We need people to integrate them back into the society, counsel them. And we started that recently. We also did, just last month on the 29th, we called some of them, because they always come back to ask for one help or the other. Unfortunately, again, because of funding, we are not able to also help them. You know, some of them, it's accommodation. For some, it's health issues that they battled with in prison, and now they're out, they're still battling with it. For some others, it's employment, feeding, you know, lots of challenges that they are faced with. And stigmatization is also part of it. So we organized a roundtable program for them, where we invited some of our social workers who volunteer for us to counsel them on how to handle stigmatization. And it was in fact, I was present, and it was a very beautiful one, you know, because stigmatization it will always come. Even people that didn't go to prison are being stigmatized for one thing or the other. So it will always come, but it is important for them to handle it, and handle it well. So we have role for other professionals who are not lawyers. An example of that is social workers, like I just explained. We also have roles for people who are photographers, who are graphic designers, you know, media people as well. We need the media as well to grow. So lots of these roles are there, but we do not have them on our payroll. No, we don't. So they are there as volunteers to Headfort Foundation to help and support our work.
All right. So just I'd like to hear from you, like just to give us your final comments. What is it that you would like us, people watching right now, and myself, you know, and everyone else, what is it that you would like us to help with? I can already give you well, you know that I support your work. Yes, you know that I support your work, and in other ways too. For example, joining with you on your roundtable and helping to provide trainings to people who are not lawyers that will come to help, for especially social workers and community leaders. I'll be glad to do that. I'll be glad to do that virtually, or whenever I'm in nature, I'll be glad to do that face to face, in person. But generally speaking, what is it that you would like us to help with?
Okay, I'm very specific, and that goes to, for everybody watching, thank you for watching, first of all. And my appeal would be that support Headfort Foundation, because what we're doing is beyond us, is beyond every member of our team, is about Nigerian society. And if you really do love Nigeria and you want Nigeria to grow and you're asking and pleading for a better Nigeria, it starts with you and I. And doing that, you might not be actively involved in the process, but your resources can be involved in the process. So I'd say support our Headfort Foundation and our cause. And you can do that by donating to us and by also creating awareness to our work. So first of all, you can go through all the social media platforms and follow and support Headfort Foundation. And as our contents are coming out, we share stories of these guys when we help them get out of prison. You can share it to people that you know that might support us. You might not have the resources to support, but you might have people in your corner who can also support our work. So share our content with them, share our links with them, let them read about us, let them support what we do. Donate to Headfort Foundation. We need the fund, like we need it like, but as the blood is flowing in our veins. Because we need to pay our personnel. It breaks my heart most times when I look at those young lawyers and the work they're doing and the little that they earn. In fact, the little, sometimes we have challenges paying, right? So you supporting us goes a long way. And we're asking you today to support Headfort Foundation. Thank you.
Right. I will extend what you said by saying not just people who care about Nigeria and Nigeria, but people who care about freedom and care about the fact that as human beings, security and freedom are some very important needs that we all have. If you have no sense of security, if you are not free, you cannot really actually attain all of your any of your purposes, you know. And so I really want to thank you for being here. And I'd like to also say this to everyone who's watching, that this has been a great opportunity for you and for me to meet with the Headfort Foundation's executive director, an organization that is doing such tremendous work in Nigeria to free the unjustly incarcerated. It is not a surprise that this organization has been profiled all around the world by media publication, by media outfits, Al Jazeera, Reuters, African media organizations. It is because of the great work that they do. So I'm also calling on you to support them in any way that that you can. You can just go to the website and see the work that they do, and just provide all the support that you need. You can also contact me if you're looking for more information about the Headfort Foundation. I'll link you up with them. And so you can get to know more about the organization and provide the support that they need. So Ms. Adetiba, please tell us your website again.
Okay, the website is www.headfort Foundation. Headfort as in HEADFORT foundation.com.
All right. I'd like to urge you to continue to do the great work that you do.
Thank you so much.
I am very proud of you, and I'm glad that you're doing it all, and all of your successes that you continue to attain are really quite impressive, and I wish you a lot more. And at some point, let's have a discussion of how I can help to bring together people who are like your volunteers and people who work with you. We can all have a roundtable discussion together with some social workers from the United States. and also graduates or social work students from the United States and social work practitioners, some of them who do this kind of work. It will be good for us all to sit down and just have a
We
discussion.
really appreciate that, really.
Yes, so let's work on it. Great. Let's talk about that and schedule a date and get that done.
Yeah.
All right. So take care and have a great week.